man who foretold the future, the prophet outside of time. Welcome back to The Critical Eye. I'm William B. Davis. For hundreds of years, extraordinary statements by a medieval Frenchman have captivated generations. Nostradamus imagined himself able to predict the future and left a written legacy to bolster his claim. But did Nostradamus really know what was to come? Or was he making it all up? Born in France in 1503, his name became synonymous with prediction. Through the centuries, his reputation as the seer of seers has grown. Some have credited him with foreseeing the rise of Napoleon, the Kennedy assassinations, and the Apollo 11 landing on the moon. To this day, the prophecies of Nostradamus hold many of his loyal followers spellbound.
What attracts people to Nostradamus is this perennial feeling that we have to know what our future is going to be like. Is it planned? Is there a destiny? It's a basic question that all people have.
Robert Egan, a linguist, feels Nostradamus' gift of prophecy was inspired by a higher power.
My belief is that Nostradamus had aid in writing these prophecies. He was under the influence of whatever you want to call it. You might say angels, you might say divine intelligence.
Nostradamus, a practicing physician, would soon find his medical career eclipsed by a much different calling: predicting future events.
The method that Nostradamus used to actually see the future was a method called scrying, which consists of looking into a bowl of water and seeing the images in the water.
He transcribed his visions into 4-line verses called quatrains and published nearly 1,000 prophecies. This body of work became known as the Centuries.
43 of the quatrains contain astrological information. 9 of them contained actual dates. The rest just used names and places, basically as a source of symbolism, so that he could sort of veil his predictions with a little bit of a cloud. To discover the key of his writings, you have to decipher the various key words and find out what it is he's trying to allude to by using these symbols.
Those who doubt Nostradamus' gift point to the ambiguity and interpretation of his words.
It's not real clear what Nostradamus wrote in the first place. He was writing very vague quatrains and vague images and symbologies, but he was also writing them in an archaic form of Old French. This was then translated into modern French, and this was then further translated into modern English. So what you have this translation of a translation of a translation, and there's lots of room for ambiguity, for wiggle room, for different interpretations.
Nostradamus is considered the greatest prophet of all time because his quatrain verses tap into all the recipes of making a good prophet. He made a lot of prophecies, and what you can do when you have a lot of prophecies is hang on to those few hits you may get and ignore all the failures that you have had along the way.
Nostradamus wrote 30 or 40 quatrains that pertain to the era of World War II. And one good example of one of those quatrains is quatrain number 224. And it reads, "Beasts ferocious with hunger will swim across the rivers. The greater part of the army will be against Hister. The great one will cause him to be dragged in a cage of iron when the German infant observes no law." Now there's approximately 7 quatrains that use the word Hister. And it's pretty obvious that the word Hister is an allusion to Adolf Hitler.
process of, you know, switching the letter here or there, they've said, aha, this is about Hitler. And therefore, Nostradamus is predicting the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. Well, really, Nostradamus does no such thing.
In ancient times, the lower Danube region in Germany was referred to as Ister.
He's talking about the Danube River. He's not talking about 1940s Europe. He's not talking about German politics. He's not talking about World War II. What Nostradamus has given people is a tool that they can read anything into. The people of today are making the quote-unquote predictions. Nostradamus didn't predict anything.
Tragedy and warfare always seem to spur renewed interest in prophecy. Whether this 16th century position could foretell the future remains open to interpretation. One thing is certain. There are few names that inspire as much controversy as that of Nostradamus.
Ultimately, in the case of Nostradamus, anybody with a good handle of the language and a good PR machine and a little bit of vague imagery can pull off what he did.
I think the whole thing gets back to divine intelligence, that there are spiritual beings, that there are spiritual causes that want us to know that we're not here by ourselves, that the future is known, that there is some planning to what's happening.
People should not take Nostradamus as a prophet or take his quatrains as a tool for making predictions seriously, because they don't predict anything. Nostradamus was not really a prophet. He did not see the future.
Nostradamus?
I actually have the Nostradamus book of his predictions.
I think Nostradamus, a lot of his stuff was right on the nose. I think that too many times the answers that people that do these things give are too generalized.
I definitely think that there is something to them. I'm not quite sure what, though.
Anytime there's great tragedy,